A misfit ant looking for warriors to save his colony from greedy grasshoppers recruits a group of bugs that turn out to be an inept circus troupe.
Welcome to the Walt Vault with
Michelle,
Andre,
Louise,
and me, Emily. We're a family-friendly podcast where we pick a new Disney movie each week. We watch it, share our thoughts, and then relate it to pop culture, fandoms, and anything else that pops into our heads. Enjoy!
hello and welcome to the Walt Vault, episode 27. How old are we now?
27.
Oh.
Or your age.
That's right, I'm 27 years old.
Yes. Indeed.
Okay. This week we are talking about A Bug's Life, the second Pixar animated film from 1998.
And one of my favorites. I love this movie.
Yeah?
Yes.
That's good.
But first.
Yes, before we get into that, I got a message.
We got a message. We got a message. We got a message. Hey, 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 hey.
Ooh, I like the message song. You guys slid into our DMs
on Facebook.
On Facebook, and we got a message from Hans, who after last week's episode.
Who is this Hans?
Hans. After last week's episode, when we were talking about bed-knobs and broomsticks and how cool it would be if it was like a musical or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I had made a comment that this movie would be so cool as a musical, and guess what? It's happening.
It's happening
in Chicago, according to Hans.
Yes.
So now I need to go to Chicago.
Hans wrote in and said, just listen to your podcast about bed-knobs and broomsticks. You were talking about how it should actually be a stage show. It's actually happening. And then he sent us a link. It's going to come out in Chicago next year. So that's super cool.
So maybe I need to just take a vacation. I don't know.
Yeah.
Guess I'm going to Chicago.
Have fun. I'm not going with you.
What? All right. Well, then.
Yeah, so thank you, Hans, for writing in. Please DM us more, everyone.
We love it.
I love it.
Woo.
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 All right. Bug's Life. Your first impressions, Michelle? You said you loved it.
Okay, yeah, I'll start with this one. This was a childhood movie of mine that I grew up watching a lot. I actually made the comment when we watched this that I watched A Bug's Life more than I did Toy Story as a kid. I think maybe I saw Toy Story like a couple times, but Bug's Life I totally grew up on. We watched it again. I was still quoting it. I still knew all the score music in the background, which is amazing, by the way.
Yes.
Just everything about this movie is super great. It's like a nice original story from Pixar, and I wouldn't say it's underrated, but I guess not. Like, there's a whole land in Disneyland based off of, A Bug's Life.
Sure.
So it's a good movie.
It's just been a while.
Yeah, it's just been a while.
Yeah, I'll say that like I enjoy this movie a bunch. It's stellar. It's really good, but I do forget about it a lot. I don't remember that it exists or what happens in it.
And I think it only came out a couple years after Toy Story, but I think Toy Story was just so popular that it kind of gets looked over a little bit, and even Bugs Land in Disneyland gets looked over.
Yeah,
it's there. It's for kids, but it's brilliant.
Yes. I think also Toy Story has sequels, so that
yeah,
helps,
that's true.
Helps a lot.
Luis, what about you? First impressions?
I like the movie a lot. Speaking of sequels, I'm not quite sure I could see a sequel with this one. Right. I mean, it was great, and personally, I would think it'd be best if it didn't have a sequel.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I thought it was a good movie. You have kind of your down and trodden, character who wants to do what good for people, but just ends up, falling a bit short and
a little misunderstood.
Very misunderstood, I would say. But it was a good movie. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
I would not peg it for the second Pixar movie, though. It seemed like it'd be further on in the lifeline of
right?
Pixar.
Even Pixar's original works were so great. Emily.
I'm here.
This is why she's been silent, y'all.
I'm here. I lost my voice, my friends, so yeah.
You might have to turn her up a bit.
No, don't turn me up, because this is the joke of the podcast life, because I know that I'm the loudest coming through your speakers usually. Now I'm the quietest. You're welcome.
Silent.
No, I'm silent. I very much enjoyed this movie. I haven't seen it in years and years and years, so rewatching it was very fun. All I remembered was that Flick was misunderstood. He
Right.
got circus bugs, and there was a bird in there somehow. Like, and then they built a bug. I mean,
That
built a
sums it
bird.
up.
But like, there's so many good parts of this movie, and throughout the entire thing, I was laughing, enjoying it. It's physically funny. It's got a lot of good lines in it. Like Michelle said, the music is very, to me, I call it Pixar. Like, you know how we talk about Disney music? This music to me was definitely Pixar music, and I really enjoyed it.
I think I said that too when we were watching it. That like, yeah, this music, it sounds like the most Pixar of any of the music, and it was all done by Randy Newman, who did the Toy Story movie.
Exactly,
So that's
super
probably
reminiscent
why.
of Toy Story. Pretty much everything reminded me of Toy Story.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then even the song at the end, sung by the same gentleman, very much sounded Toy Story-ish, and I was totally okay with it. It did not bother me in the least.
Right. It's not like they're like completely different movies, but they're obviously very.
Well, let's start with music because I have a music comment as well.
Sure.
We recently went to Disneyland together, and we wanted to make sure our little podcast baby Addie got to enjoy all of the Bugs Land rides before it becomes Marvel Land. And so we were riding them all, and Flick's Flyers, that song to me, I always remember the like or whatever. And then when we were watching the movie, I was like, oh my gosh, that's a song in the background of the score.
Right,
Like I had
yes.
never put that together. And just all of the background songs for the rides in Pixar, like Bugs Land, are like from the score. Because like I remember,
Yes.
it's so great.
Yes, that would make sense.
Yeah. But isn't that like we'll talk about the score too. Just it's beautiful. Like it's one of those movies too where I forget because I haven't watched it in a while, but I literally was singing the whole score. Like as the scenes would switch, a new song from the score would come on and I was just like humming it. Like I
Well, it's
know it
interesting
all.
because it's iconic. It has a very good, it's very solid in its musical composition. And so, you know, we were talking about other movies like Zootopia. Like if you heard like a song that was from the actual score, I probably wouldn't have been like, oh, that's from Zootopia. But when you hear this, you're like, oh yeah. Like maybe you're not associating it to Bug's Life if you haven't seen it in a long time, but you know that song.
Right. You definitely know it's
and
it's
it gives
Pixar
you
at
the
very
Bugs,
Oh, yeah.
the Bugs Life vibe.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, it's great.
They did a great job with the music and really connecting it to the storyline in this one.
Yes.
folksy, jazzy.
And Randy Newman.
Pixar-y.
You go, Randy Newman.
Newman-y.
All right, how many? Great. Now you're gonna have to look this up. But how many Pixar movies has Randy Newman done?
Don't say Newman-y. We have a town called Newman around us.
Yeah, we
and
do.
It just makes me
Newman.
think like it came from Newman or Gustine or something.
Little hick towns.
Hickman. See?
Hickman. Yeah.
Shout out to all our little towns.
Because I know Randy Newman has done the Toy Stories and Bug's Life, but are those the only ones he's done?
Let's
He's got to have done more, right?
check out Mr. Newman.
Do, 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 do,
He
do,
definitely
do,
did. Okay, he did
do.
Toy Story.
Okay.
He did A Bug's Life.
Okay.
He did Toy Story 2.
Okay.
Scrolling. He did Monsters, Inc.
Oh,
I'm scrolling.
Again, Pixar sounding.
very,
Yeah.
very.
He did Cars.
Okay. No comment.
What do you mean no comment?
I like Cars, but
Did you like the music in Cars?
life is a highway. That song can die.
Vida es una calle.
Oh,
yo
yeah, yeah.
manejo toda la noche.
Noche. Yeah, I
See,
like the Spanish version better.
I don't even think there's really a Spanish version. I just like translated it and started singing it. So now Michelle thinks there's a Spanish version. Really isn't. I love it.
There is now. We
That's-
just created one.
That's what I
right?
sing in my what do you call it? Every time we go through Cars Land and California Adventure, I'm over here singing it in Spanish, like I'm Spanish Buzz or something.
Hola.
Yep, she's over there singing it in Spanish and looking at me, trying to see if I'm gonna correct her, but she gets it right every time.
Nice.
Toda la noche. Dun, dun, dun.
He also did Toy Story 3, Monsters University,
Okay.
and I'm not sure if he
I
did
don't think he
Cars 2
did
and
the
3.
Cars 2 and 3. No.
What is Tony's Story? No, sorry. There's a bunch of other non-Disney things on this list that I'm.
But so he's done quite a good handful of kind of like the more iconic Pixar ones. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the point is, Randy Newman, you're brilliant. The music for Bug's Life is great. It's just so happy and jolly, and I love it. Like, I don't know, I just love it. Even like the circus music, I love. I know he didn't write that, probably, but
Well, I was reading that. I'm done. The circus music came from another movie.
I know, but
Well, you know.
I don't know what movie, but
I read it and I can't remember.
Oh, well.
awkward.
Done now.
You know
Done
what?
now.
You guys got Google.
Moving
Check
on.
it out.
Yeah, you googs it.
You Google.
Listeners, that's you.
Googs it.
Because we don't have Google.
Okay, let's talk about the characters. The characters. Let's see. Flick, go, Luis. I know you want to
cool.
talk about
I like
him.
him. Seems like a very lovable nerd.
A lovable. Yeah, he's kind of a science nerd, right? Like he's making experiments. Well, I guess you could call them farm tools, really.
He's more of a Michelangelo, creating inventions.
Yeah.
I didn't see him experiment much, but that could have been all in the background.
Sure.
But he's definitely in a gadgets kind of
Yeah,
guy.
there we go.
He's
He's Inspector Gadget
He's an engineer.
for farms of bugs.
He's a bug.
He's a bug farmer.
Bug farm
Engineer. Bug farmer engineer.
Michelle, just let him be an inventor. It's okay.
Okay. I was trying to give him trying to give him a better title here.
Inventor is perfectly fine.
No,
So yes, Flick is he's just misunderstood. Like he's trying to help, but this ant colony wants to do things the traditional way, and he wants to do things in a more efficient manner. But he's also not just very unlucky, like a lot in this movie. Like he
Yeah.
just doesn't have the best of luck. Like he ruins things a lot. Poor guy.
He definitely. I think he's kind of like she just has bad luck. You know, it's plain and simple. It's not as if like, you know, the way they treat. I think they treat him exactly how he is.
Right.
You know, he does have bad luck. I don't want to call him bad luck Chuck or anything like that.
No,
but
it's
like,
not that bad. Because I mean, all of his inventions, they all work. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like he's making stuff that's exploding or anything like that. It's
but
just
it just
that-
somehow ends up coming out. Something bad happens whenever he
Right.
invents.
And when it's bad, it's bad.
Apparently.
Because the scene where they're trying to go back into the anthill because the grasshoppers are coming. First problem, they all forgot about Flick and just went in the anthill without him. Rude. Just leave Flick out in the open. That's so nice of you guys.
Well, it's not their fault. They're all pretty, like, no offense, but they all follow the queen.
They fall in
Yeah.
line.
And they literally, like, remember they couldn't get around the leaf?
Oh,
I was dying.
hilarious.
It's like, this isn't like the twig incident of 92 or 93 or whatever. I
Yeah.
was dying. But they don't think about anything other than the direction. Like, they
Right.
told you what to do, you do it. You should have heard Luis, though, when the leaf starts falling off and the grain is going into the river or into the riverbed.
Oh, yeah.
Luis is like, oh no, oh Flick. It's like falling down, and he's literally like, no.
And then Andre made the comment. So he throws his device, that he's wearing on his back off, but he didn't turn it off first. Like, you didn't think to turn off your device before you took it off.
Turn it off, dude.
Come on, Flick.
Turn your grain-powered device
Michelle.
off.
What?
If your worst enemy was coming, if a clown was coming at you right now, would you think about turning it off,
Nah, I would throw it at him.
Your
Like,
hair
here, take
dryer.
this, sucker.
or would you just drop the hair dryer and run off with your wet hair?
I'd probably do that.
Yeah, I know. Let Flick be. He's
Poor
unlucky.
Flick. He is. But he's sweet, and I really like the way he treats Dot. Dot is the littlest princess. There's Princess Ada, and then there's Dot. She's so cute, and he treats her like the best. The little rock,
Like a little sister.
the little rock incident between them is adorable.
Yes.
Yeah, I like
but
that.
it's a rock.
It's a rock. When he's trying to make a metaphor, but he doesn't have a seed. Only a rock.
I like that a lot. She was very much the only one who believes in him.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know what? She's a sweet girl because she wants to, in her own way, help the colony as well. And I feel like she wants to grow up a little too fast.
Yeah, she's very gung-ho.
She doesn't have her wings yet. She's
But
still
she's
in
trying to fly.
Princess Ada. Her older sister is going to be the princess, so she's just kind of there, and she wants to be the one.
She wants to be
queen.
grown up, but she's a
she
kid.
wants to be queen. She just can't wait to be queen. But
I
she's not.
just can't wait
To be
queen.
She's not quite there yet.
No.
But she is a sweet, sweet girl. Princess Ada, on the other hand, she's great too, but she is just
I might
worried.
need you to bring it back.
What?
She ain't great.
No?
She's annoying.
Yeah,
Well, that's why I said she's worried.
Well, she's like the most
Princess
annoying.
Ada was pretty annoying to me.
Yeah.
She
Very
was
much
condescending,
like
too. I
very.
didn't like it. Like, calm down, girlfriend. You're a crappy queen. We don't want to hear about poor Flick over here trying to help you out.
You know, in her defense, the queen, like the actual queen of the colony, ain't doing much. She just sitting on her butt with her aphid.
Chilling, getting her
With
lotion
a-
on.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah.
She's got
Straight
the
chilling.
boys rounded up.
She knows what's up. There must only be a few men in this colony. She knows what's up.
But Ada, yeah, she's extremely neurotic. And I wrote down she needs to take an Aunt Xanax. She needs to calm down. Relax, Ada. There was one point where she was like, or Dot was talking to the queen, and then Ada like butts in, and then and Dot goes, "I was talking to Mom, Ada." It was the best. I loved how bratty she was. in
That
moment.
interaction totally reminded me of King T'Challa and Shuri in
Black Panther.
Black Panther, because it's like
Totally.
even though one's supposed to be queen or one's supposed to be king, and one, you know, the other ones underneath them and they're royal, like they're still brother and sister
Yeah,
at the
still
end of the
just
day,
siblings
which is hilarious. I very
That
much
is
enjoyed
hilarious.
that.
being annoying.
Talking to
with each other.
Mom.
I love that. So, the question I have been waiting for and that I can't wait to talk about. These characters are all great, but let's be real. The circus characters just make this movie.
Much better than
Like-
the actual characters.
They, like, I almost consider them the main characters because I can't wait. Like, when you first hear that, and their little cookie, what is it? It's like an animal cookie box car.
Casey Junior Circus Train.
Whoa.
Box.
Wow, she even knew the name of it.
it.
But
You don't.
The
You
best.
didn't notice that?
I did notice. I knew they were. I knew they were animal crackers. Which, because when you go like on the rides in Bugs Land 2, they pump the smells in, and I love smelling like the animal crackers and things like that.
Yes.
Or my favorites, the Chinese box.
Michelle's
Yes.
really favorite is the Chinese box. If you saw, we posted a couple like a week or two ago now that we wish we were in Disneyland, obviously, and the picture is of us inside of the Chinese box
on Flix Flyers.
on
yeah.
Flix Flyers, because Michelle literally had to ride in that box. So
She
when we got to
refused
the
to
front
get
of the
anything
line,
else.
she ran to it.
And
The
then there
rest
was
of
a
us-
kid. There was a kid. He was like, "Man," I was like, "Ooh, sorry, dude."
No. Michelle likes to steal the thunder when I'm telling stories, but let me finish my story.
I didn't. I thought you
We're-
forgot about that part.
No, that was where I was going. I have no voice. Let me be.
Yeah, we got to use her voice, so please, let's let her finish her sentences.
She's running. The rest of us are like, oh my God, right? Other parents are watching Michelle run to this Chinese box. She gets there, and this other kid is running up from the other side, and he literally like walks up to her and is like, oh, and Michelle's like, sorry, like in his face.
Because I didn't know. Listen, this land is closing. I didn't know how many times I'm going to get to be in that Chinese box again. And I really, really wanted my fellow podcaster people, my fellow vaulters here to smell the Chinese smell.
Michelle's
Did you
knocking
smell
kids
it?
out of the way. She's
Knocking
Did you guys
kids.
smell it?
throwing elbows.
It was great.
Trying
Did
to
that
get
hurt
those
your
kids
elbow,
away. Yeah,
Andre?
that hurt a
he
little
just
bit.
he
But
just
did you
elbowed
smell
my
it?
table.
You know what?
Did you smell it?
Realistically, looking back,
Did you smell
It
it?
was
That's all she cares is if we smell.
Yes, we smelled it.
Yay.
looking back at it, it was way early in the morning that we could have let that kid take that
We
box and
definitely
gotten
could have.
back in line.
That ride took about 3 minutes, if that.
Oh,
And
well.
we totally
But you
could've
know what?
just-
Sucks to
There
suck.
wouldn't have been a good story of Michelle knocking some kid out of the way
Yeah.
for the Chinese.
True.
Which is hilarious because
So-
it did smell super good.
Yeah.
True.
And we really enjoyed it.
This
so
is fu-
thank you, Michelle, for getting us into that.
You're
Chinese
welcome.
box.
And thank you, kid, for being disappointed.
So our lovely circus characters, I was thinking about them, and we'll go through them all if Andre wants to find a list of the names, because I forget some of their names. I was thinking about A Bug's Land in Disneyland, and it's Sunny, the 3 characters that have rides there. So we have Heimlich's Choo Choo Train, so Heimlich gets his own ride. Of course he does. He's like so...
Heimlich.
Hi. He's like so iconic. Heimlich, just I'm a beautiful butterfly. I love him with his little tiny wings. So he is such an iconic character. Then we have Francis is Ladybug Boogie. So Francis the Ladybug gets her own ride, which makes sense because she's like a top circus character. But then we have the ride that nobody, in my opinion, really goes on. I guess people ride it. But there's like the bumper cars. I don't even know what they're called. But I didn't realize that they're the roly-poly bugs.
Yes.
Yeah, dude.
First off, have you never been on them?
No, I have not.
They're freaking the funnest part of that whole...
Are they?
Yes.
Yeah?
And the only reason we didn't go on them when we went last time was because the baby can't go
She's
on
too
them.
small, yeah.
I've never been on them either.
They're actually really funny.
Yeah?
But I don't know if it's because I get in like a weird Disney like fun mode where like I giggle just because it's awkward. Like when I tried to stuff myself into the Astro Blaster thing,
Oh,
not the Astro
God.
Blaster, the Astro Orbiter
Yes.
with Luis. And when I say with Luis, it's like Luis fits perfectly by himself, Emily fits perfectly by herself, but the two of us together, like,
It's not going to.
and a backpack, it was embarrassing. I laughed the whole time because it was so awkward. So that's why I laughed so hard on another ride, but it was fun. It was cute.
Oh, nice.
It was good bumper cars.
Well, those two little roly-poly bugs,
They're tuck and roll.
tuck and roll, yes.
Tuck and roll.
Tuck and
They
roll.
are so funny.
And if you want to know the difference, roll has a unibrow and tuck has two eyebrows.
Ah.
Just
there
like
you go.
And
Chippendale.
roll,
I
yeah.
just like how they're always like, hey, like they
You're
don't.
fired.
Yeah, you fired, hey. Like they're just.
What are they speaking?
I don't
I
know.
believe
Is it a
Russian?
real language?
Russian?
It sounded
I
like
don't know.
No?
it sounded like Japanese to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I cannot confirm nor deny that they are speaking an actual language. Boop-a-dee-boop-a-dee-boop-a-dee-bop.
Because Luis, what languages you think that they were speaking?
I want to go as far as to say maybe Russian
Oh.
or Gypsy.
I was going to say
I got it.
Russian.
They are Hungarian.
Well, there you go.
So there you go. Luis
Hungarian.
was right.
It's pretty much right in the middle between
Right.
Russian and.
There we
that's
go.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Let me retract that statement because I'm probably being wrong, but in saying that it's in between Russian and Gypsy. So they are Hungarian in the story.
Romani is with the right word for.
There you
for
go,
gypsy.
Romani.
That is hilarious. I love them. They're so funny.
They are
But I
funny.
also love Frances. She might.
Do you
she's
really call her a
close.
she, or can I call him a he?
It's
Is
a
it-
he, right?
Yeah.
Hang on.
I mean, I know throughout the whole movie they call
Her a she.
him a she, but isn't it because
I'm 90% sure that
Francis was a dude?
Francis is a male. But hang on.
But they do call him a she the whole time.
Yeah,
because
because
they think
he's a
ladybug.
ladybug.
I'm reading this off of the Pixar Wikipedia. Okay.
No.
It says Francis is a drag queen in the circus. Unfortunately, the effect is so convincing that insects are always mistaking him for a real girl.
So he is a boy.
Yeah,
So-
because he does. Remember when they do their clown scenes
Yeah.
and they like put the makeup on their face.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're always that makes sense because then
Yeah.
the two flies are like, "Ooh, come over here," and he's like, "Great, here we go again."
You know
Come
what?
over here and pollinate
I don't
with a
like
real
that
bug.
Wikipedia entry. He's a
Wikipedia.
drag queen.
Yeah, I
He's
guess.
a drag
So
bug.
every
Drag
single
queen, a drag
male,
bug.
every single male who is playing a role in a movie is a drag queen. That doesn't no. He's
No,
not a
that's his
drag
role
queen.
in the
In the
circus.
circus, like he's a
He's
drag.
playing
That's
he's a
his
character
role.
playing drag, doing drag.
Oh, so
You
he's
know
a
the scene-
character
yeah.
doing
Yeah,
drag.
because
Yeah.
I think he's a male ladybug, right? And the
Yeah.
male ladybugs don't have spots, I believe, is the thing. So he's doing drag by putting spots on him. And he
No, but
wears-
what I'm saying, like,
It's like his clown act.
why does a male dressed as a woman and playing a woman in a movie have to be considered drag though? That's not. He's just acting.
No,
So he
that's
shouldn't
his
be
role.
drag.
That's
no,
his
no, no.
role.
In the movie,
No.
Francis
yes.
is a drag queen. That's the character. The character of Francis. Not just this guy playing this ladybug is being the drag queen. No, I'm saying like the character of Francis in the circus is a drag queen.
He's not actually a drag queen. That's what he's playing in the circus. That's like his act.
His role.
So
He
he's
is a drag
not.
queen.
He's not a male playing a female in the circus.
He is.
He is.
So
But-
why is
but
that
the role-
considered drag?
That
Back
is-
in the day, they used to use men to
Sweetheart.
play women.
Sweetheart. Okay. Chris Evans, his role is to play.
Captain America.
Okay, so that's his role.
Yes.
Francis's role is to play a.
No, but is that so?
drag
his
queen.
role is to play a drag queen.
Yes.
Yes.
right.
Why?
I don't know.
Because
It's
the
a circus.
Wikipedia phrase
Ask
Again.
PT Flea.
This is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this Wikipedia page is incorrect.
Okay.
I'm phrasing him as a drag queen.
I just Googled
Maybe
drag
he's
queen.
just a man
Please.
playing a woman. in
Okay,
the circus.
identify drag
Listen,
queen.
drag
please.
queen, a man who dresses up in women's clothes, typically for the purposes of entertainment. So that's why he's a drag queen because
it's for entertainment.
For entertainment. It's not just like
that's his circus act.
It's not like him being a trans woman where like this is his entire life or her entire life if it was a trans woman, but it's specifically for the role in the circus. He dresses up as a woman and does.
I don't like that definition either, so I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Okay.
Luis wants justice for all.
Yes,
that's
he
what I
does.
love about my husband.
I love it too.
Wants justice for all.
Francis the Ladybug does a circus act with Heimlich, who is the fattest caterpillar I've ever seen in my life. He is so
I don't even
funny.
think we can categorize him as a
I'm
caterpillar.
Heimlich. He is the hugest caterpillar. And then with the twig. What's the twig's name? Twig.
I read it earlier.
Slim. Oh, Slim.
Slender twig.
Stick. Oh, and then the scene. What's his name? Slim. The scene where Slim gets lost in the trees and Francis is trying to find him.
That was funny.
I really don't think he's there because I was like gonna pause it and look for him. I don't think he's there.
I'll agree with you. He's not there.
He's not there. I think it's like a funny they did where they really didn't put him in there.
You know what? I'm gonna go back and watch this after that and see if there's eyeballs, and I will screenshot it, and we can.
He could have just closed his eyes. Invisible.
The only stick with eyeballs.
There was no stick with eyeballs.
So funny.
I was convinced. I saw no movement in that scene.
I was laughing very hard at that. That was.
If you stand really still, you can't see me. That's all I'm saying.
Oh.
So, who else do we have? Okay, let's talk about the butterfly and her husband.
Well, Manny is the magician.
Manny, I like him. He's funny.
And then her name, even though I just said it was Romani, is Gypsy.
You know what I like the most about Manny is he is a
praying mantis.
Praying mantis, thank you. I really just
Michelle just put her arms up like she was in a karate stance.
The thing I like about them though, the praying mantis. Okay, so you think about a wizard cape, how like the arms are really big, so it goes down, and he has like wizard cape arms. It's funny.
Wizard cape arms.
Look up a picture of him. He has like the sleeves, but it's actually his arm does that.
Oh, okay.
You mean wings?
Yeah, because he's a magician.
Yeah, the mantis part of his.
Right.
No, not the wings.
His forearms.
Yeah,
his forearm.
He has like webbed.
Yeah, that.
So wings.
No, his wings are on his back.
No, like you could a bat. Have you seen a bat?
No, that'd be him on his armpit flab. I mean, like on his forearm.
Oh, are you talking about blades? Like they could shank people with?
No, I'm talking about wizard cape arms.
I don't know. I see what he looks like, and I understand the thing about his forearms, but I don't know what a wizard cape arm is. I don't know what you're talking about.
Whatever, guys. I'll try to explain it later.
All right, let's move on.
And then we have the Black Widow.
Rosie.
I like her.
She's super cool.
Them two. You guys, I'm hopped up on some medicine. Just don't listen to this episode. You're already listening. Rosie and Dim are my favorite. So Dim is the big blue dung beetle. Isn't he a dung beetle?
He's a dung beetle.
The big dude.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about
Rosie,
him.
And
yes.
how, like, she's kind of his keeper. You know? And so,
you want to know what they remind me of?
Who?
Freaking Hulk and Black Widow.
Kind of. Like, it's okay, Dim.
She's always like trying to calm him down.
Yes.
You guys, I have a crazy fact about Dim.
Okay.
Okay, so Dim wasn't based on like a real beetle. They kind of just made up like a fictional beetle for him. But in 2016, a variety of rhinoceros beetle with a horn just like Dim was discovered. So he actually exists now. So now, such discoveries of fictional creatures later revealed to be real have subsequently been dubbed the Dim effect.
Shut
That's
up.
It's a real thing
so
in science.
Cool.
Did they name it that because of that?
I think so, yeah.
That's so cool.
It's nuts.
That's
wow,
awesome.
I just broke your speakers and I have no voice. That's so cool. Good for me. The Dim effect. That's
Dim
legit.
effect, yeah.
That's a cool fact.
That's a very good fact.
So is that all the circus animals? Is that all of them? Did I miss anyone?
You know
The
who we
stupid
missed?
flea.
P.T. Flea.
I'm sorry.
I hate
annoying.
P.T.
Flaming wall of death!
So
No, P.T.
done.
Flea could have died then, and I would have been
love
like,
P.T.
okay.
Flea.
Of course you do. Of course you
He's
do.
great. He's a circus. What is it? He's like a ringleader. Ringleader for
He's
sure.
P.T. Barnum, but he's a
P.T.
flea.
Barnum. Yeah. He's not treating them right, and
I'll think about paying you. Maybe.
exactly. Yeah, PT Flea's
Nah,
great.
that guy should have burned.
He's awful.
He did burn.
You know what's gross too is
No,
when he
burned
gets
to death.
when he gets stuck.
Darn.
When he gets stuck like on that sticky wall and he's trying to get off of it and his little hairs get stuck to it. I was
Should have
like,
been stuck.
yikes.
Well,
Yikes.
I wonder, like, can fleas get burned? Like real fleas, can
Probably.
they get burned and then live?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
Because they just
He ruined everything, okay? When he was like, "These are my circus people." We're like, "No.
he
Get
didn't
out of
know.
here, PT."
PT's just misunderstood.
No, he's
just
not.
looking
He's
for some
stupid.
money. Hey, look over there. There's some money. Where?
I had forgotten about PT Flea, and I think I'm realizing now that it's one of my favorite characters that guy John Ratzenberger plays.
Yes.
Because he's the one that is in every single Pixar movie.
Yes.
He plays a voice. He's Ham, and he's the
Yes,
big truck
he's a
from
lot of
Cars.
them.
Yeah, you know who he is. I think this is one of my favorite characters that he does.
It's funny that you say that because he said it's his favorite
Oh,
character.
really?
Yes. I read an article
Interesting.
and he said that this is his favorite one out of all of the ones that he's done. And I wonder if it's because it has a little bit more depth.
Yeah.
Like he's a little bit more in the movie
Yeah.
because even in Ham it was kind of more like one-liners.
Right.
And like in
Side
Monsters
character.
Inc. he was mad.
This is kind of a full-blown character.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
like he
Yeah.
was needed.
And he was like moving the plot along,
Exactly.
you know?
Yeah.
Just being nice and greedy and
Also,
Being all neat and stuff.
hopping around.
next question. Who is your favorite circus character?
My favorite circus character. Well, if it's not PT Flea, then it's definitely
Okay, PT Flea doesn't count. We'll say he doesn't count.
okay.
She said, ugh.
Unfair.
Ugh.
It counts.
Ugh.
Go.
Heimlich the caterpillar is my favorite.
He's a
character.
beautiful butterfly.
Oh my God! You all look like little ants from down there.
Candy corn.
So again, you like him over PT?
I like him because his voice is
Okay.
funner to do than PT. Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's your reasoning. His voice is funner to do than PT.
Yeah, that's my favorite Heimlich.
That's funny. Who's your favorite, Emily?
I would I like the praying mantis. Manny and his wife, though. I like their interaction. It's really funny. Like they're the old carnies, but like they totally like it's almost like they've been doing it for so long that they have completely assumed the roles that
Right,
they play.
yeah.
Like she is the gypsy and he is like
the magician,
he-
magical,
Yes.
fantastic.
but it's funny because at first I thought he was Japanese, and then I was like, and then Louis was like, he's totally a British war general, and I was like, no, I don't know, right? But they totally assume their lives around these roles, and I think that's really funny. So the two of them together, I think, are, even though I really like Rosie, the Black Widow, because for me, Black Widows are probably the worst thing on this planet, and
But she's so
she's
nice.
so good.
Yeah.
Like she's such a cool spider.
Right.
She's like the first spider in a movie that didn't make me want to pull my hair out.
Yeah.
So
her and
So I agree with you. Manny is my favorite, but since you talked about him, I'll give my honorable mention is Francis. And the reason
he's
I love
fantastic.
Francis so much is because he literally assumes the role of mother for like those little
Dead
ants.
mother.
Yes, you're our dead mother. Just so funny.
it's quite hilarious.
I love how he like just accepts the children. Luis.
Well, out of all the characters, the one that annoyed me the least
Stop
was
it.
no, really, it was the Black Widow. I would say.
Oh, Rosie.
Rosie. All right.
But
The
I think
lion
that
tamer.
I think that's a really good segue into this
Hopper?
week's.
Oh.
Dun, 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 dun,
Oh,
dun,
battle.
dun.
Ooh.
Dun, dun,
can't
dun,
do it.
dun, 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 dun.
Na-na-na-na-na.
So this one you have to really listen to the wordage.
Okay, so you gotta also get into my mind frame.
Okay,
Okay,
here
you
we
gotta
go.
get into my mind and my.
I'm grumpy. I'm old. I'm
grumpiness,
old.
okay?
I'm grumpy. I'm
So-
I'm old. I'm negative. I'm old.
There you go. So everybody who is listening also has to adopt my mind frame.
Okay.
In a hypothetical world, Olaf, who I detest for being annoying,
Yikes.
from Frozen, needs to make it across an open plain to make it back to Arendelle. He's made of snow, but loves summer. Who would be a better caretaker? Francis the Ladybug before he gets in touch with his feminine side, or Anger from Inside Out?
So
Yikes.
And
Okay,
again-
do it again.
again-
this person is shepherding Olaf across this plane.
And just remember, you got to be in my mind frame and remember how dumb and annoying Olaf is.
Okay.
So which
It's
one?
summer. He's
that-
snow. Who's gonna make it across?
So again, he's made of snow. He loves summer. But who would be a better caretaker, Francis the ladybug before he gets in touch with his feminine side, or anger from inside out?
They're both going to be so pissed off,
Right.
so mad
This
that they
person
have
is
to friggin' just,
quite crotchety
God.
about Olaf and this,
just a little bit
this
crotchety.
task that they've been given. Who would be a better caretaker?
I think that your shepherding idea is a good one because I think
Yes.
that's kind of where you're going with it, right, Luis? Like they're taking him from one place to another.
Right. Okay.
Yes, definitely. Shepherding, yes.
Shepherding.
Shepherding. Yeah.
Shepherding.
I'm trying to think of like how nice does anger ever become during Inside Out? Like, I don't think I think for the that is his one and only emotion. He's never like a super nice guy. I don't think he ever tones it down. He's always just ramping.
Is his
it up.
hair always flaming?
Is it always flaming or is it just sometimes?
Yeah, his hair's only flaming when he's mad. I think it just like spikes up like Hades. He's like, bah!
That's his secret. He's always mad.
Bah!
Ugh!
Bah!
Who would be a better caretaker? I don't know. Okay, I'm going with Francis. Because Francis has wings, so maybe he could just pick Olaf off and like
Francis is a ladybug. He can't pick up Olaf.
You don't know that. Oh yeah, size proportions. I'm
Yeah.
stupid. Okay, I take it back.
So he's a normal sized snowman. But how big is anger?
Yeah, how big's anger?
Anger is like a brain cell.
Yeah, he is. He's like a thought.
All right, guys. So let's go ahead and assume they're the same size.
Okay.
Oh my.
And
Okay,
Francis
okay.
still can't pick them up. You're
Gotcha.
shepherding. Shepherds don't pick up their flocks.
So
You don't know that.
this person, Anger or Francis, he's just giving him motivation. He's trying to get Olaf across this desert.
So which is the better motivational office poster?
Okay, I'm still going with Francis because I think because anger is literally anger, like he's mad 99% of the time, it's going to be way harder for him. Like, he's going to be so done. I think Francis, although he's not in touch with his feminine side yet, he's mad, but at least maybe he can, like, calm himself down somehow to figure out a way to get Olaf across. So I'm going with Francis.
I would agree. I'd probably say Francis for two other reasons on top of what you said. Anger wears a tie, and he's very, like doesn't he have, like, a pocket protector or something?
Yeah.
I could see Olaf, like, picking on that and being like, oh, what a nice tie, and, like, totally making Anger, like, lose
Oh
his
my
tie.
God.
Are
That's so
you an
funny.
assistant manager at a Burger King?
Exactly. But I could see, like, Francis being like, I just got to put on the act, and then maybe someone will pay me when I get to
Right.
Arendelle. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can do this.
Francis at least would be like, the show must go on, and I got to get this guy all the way
True.
over there.
He has a little bit of fortitude when
Right.
Anger's just like, you know what? I could just melt him right here with my hair, and we would be done.
My hair. Yeah, so I think I'm going to choose Francis as well.
What about you, Lou?
You know what? I'm going to go with Francis as well, only because even though Anger's never really, he's never really happy or not mad.
Mm-hmm.
He's about one word out of Olaf's mouth away from blowing his gasket.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And Francis is more likely to, like in the movie, become more loving and less angry.
Yeah, I can't see Anger. I can't see Anger using his anger in any kind of constructive way. Like it's just gonna be bad, and they're just gonna
Gonna be
sit there
all
and stew.
bad.
and-
Could you see him being like, saying something sarcastic to Olaf, like, why don't you just go hide behind that rock? And then Olaf's like, okay. Like,
Yeah, exactly. They're not getting across the plane at all.
And it's actually behind where they were supposed
Yeah,
to be going.
it's
It's
going
the opposite
backwards.
So
direction.
you guys, pretty soon we'll have a YouTube video of this adventure. We're just going to make it for you. I'm just kidding. That'd be way
What?
too much work.
Are you tasking me with animating all of this?
Yep. Good luck.
Can you imagine? That would be
Good luck.
and actually probably would be quite hilarious. I'm just saying.
That would be pretty funny, honestly. So our last characters that I want to touch base on is Hopper and the Grasshopper gang. Literally, they're a gang, right? That's
Grasshopper
what I
gang.
like to think of them as. Like, they're literally a gang.
They call themselves the gang, so
Yeah.
you can call them that.
Oh, okay, they're a gang.
They very much remind me of like a motorcycle.
Hopper is freaky. The way he walks. I can't stand the way he walks. It freaks me out. But I will say that his little... It's not his assistant. Who's
Brother.
His brother.
It's his brother?
Brother.
I love his brother. He's so funny. I love when he gets scared and he literally like falls out of his skin and his skin's like floating.
That makes me want to throw up.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. It's like dead skin, epithelials.
It's funny.
No, he is quite funny though. You don't remember when he was like, "You promised Ma on her deathbed not to kill me."
Right.
Oh
yeah.
yes, you're right.
The worst decision I've ever made, or something like that.
Hopper
Mom.
Hopper reminds me of Scar for some reason. Like their personalities are very comparable, I think. Where Scar is just like
Less quippy though.
I'm the best.
He doesn't have like the funny, sarcastic like Loki
Right.
side of him.
Scar has like a dry humor.
Yeah. Like Hopper has no humor. Like
Hopper was trying to be funny though when he was like, "Does this hurt?" And they're like, "Ha, no." And he's throwing the seeds at them. They're like, "Does this hurt?"
I don't think that was
He
trying to
wasn't
be
trying to
funny.
be funny. He was trying to be very menacing in that
You
movie.
think
Yeah.
so?
When he killed 2 of his gang members by
Like 4 of them,
like,
dude.
by dropping all the
he
seeds
was
on him.
he was making a point. There was no
No.
humor, I don't think.
I thought it was funny.
Michelle, you would have been the one who died right
just
there.
laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is funny.
Whatever. But Hopper's freaky, dude.
Oh no, and his little scar on his eye, and it's like all glazed over.
From
like,
the bird attack.
oh, was it from the bird? That would make sense.
I think it's from a
His
previous
battle
bird
scars.
attack. Yeah, that's why he's so afraid of birds.
That was quite.
That's why he's so afraid of the bird.
Yes, that was good.
All right. Easter eggs. Easter.
That's me.
Easter
Easter time.
eggs.
Here we go. Can I have my paper?
Look.
Thank you. Yeah, yep. I know where it's at. Okay, so we do, everyone, see the Pizza Planet truck
Yup.
in this movie. And the cool thing about this one is that it is, I think, one of the most, well, okay, it makes sense because this is the movie that came out after Toy Story, correct?
Yes.
So it would make sense that it would be one of the most blatant uses of the Pizza Planet truck that we've seen besides Toy Story. But it's sitting beside a trailer outside of Bug City.
Right.
We see A113 on a box inside of Bug City as well, so you see it very closely after. PT Flea's circus box, like Michelle brought up, travels inside of the Casey Jr. cookie box. The cool thing about Casey Jr. is that Casey Jr. originally was found in Dumbo in the 1941 movie. And then it returned in so many different movies, which I think is really cool.
Oh, really?
It was in The Reluctant Dragon. It made a cameo in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It was in Kronk's New Groove, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago that we tried to watch. Don't. But I found this out, which is really cool. And there's a ride in Disneyland with Casey Jr. train. But this is the really cool thing is that Casey Jr. itself is a reference to Casey Jones, who was a famous railroad engineer who passed away in a railroad collision in 1900.
Oh.
So I think that's pretty cool
I didn't
because
know that.
a lot of us know that Walt Disney was really, really into trains.
Love trains.
He was like a train enthusiast. He had a railroad in his own house. That's why they had the Disneyland Railroad. And so it was very obvious that he would, or not very obvious, it's very, it's telling that he would have a train in his movies and in the park that was
like a very important train.
Exactly. That was based off of another engineer. So we see that. That's really cool. And then the Chinese food box, which we talked about a little bit earlier. Michelle's favorite part of the movie is actually seen in other Disney Pixar movies after this.
Oh.
So 2 different places you see it. You see it in Monsters Inc.
Haha.
You see it in Monsters Inc. when they're doing the whole Harryhausen's thing and they have the Chinese food. And then you see it again in another movie we just referenced in Inside Out when Riley's family moves to San Francisco and they get Chinese takeout and she's eating the takeout out of the same box that was in this movie.
Wow.
So I think that's super cool because that's a lot of times you don't see it in multiple movies. So this time you see you just see it kind of transcending time because
I like to think that kind of ties these movies all together in like a weird little way, like the Pizza Planet truck being outside the trailer because that's where the driver lives or whatever.
Exactly.
And then like this box that the Inside Out family had, they threw it out in the trash and then all the bugs live inside of it.
Exactly. Well, and it's so funny too because I don't even know if we've talked about this on any of our episodes yet, but there are so many people out there who buy into the Pixar theory.
Right. The Pixar universe.
Oh my gosh. And I don't even think we can really talk about it because it just goes on and on and on.
Takes too much.
Maybe we could do a crack in the vault on it. But if you read up on it, you'll hear people talk about how each of the stories is interconnected and how the whole universe is in one, universe,
it's all set in the same the same world. Like
Yeah,
all
so-
of these things exist.
So, like, yes, Finding Nemo is happening underneath, Monsters Inc., which is happening, wherever. So
Right.
it's really interesting that all of them would be happening on the same plane.
Yeah.
And the planes are happening while the cars are happening. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how the cars and the monsters all kind of fit
You know
in with
what? I'm just
the
saying.
Andy's mom or whatever.
But it's really interesting. So you can read up on that. But it's funny when you see these kind of references happen and you think like, well, then if that happened before Bug's Life and just
Right,
how
yeah.
How everything intertwines.
Intricate.
So yeah, I think that's really cool. Another interesting thing that really got to me was that there's blooper scenes in this movie.
That's right.
It's an animated film with bloopers, and it's interesting because it's not. At first, I thought to myself, like, this is totally like the actors just had bloopers in
But
the
it's-
theater, or not in the theater,
Like in the studio.
In the
They're
studio, they just
recording
had
and they're just
bloopers.
messing up.
and it's totally not
It's
that.
not that at all.
Like it's literal bloopers.
Yes, they animated
They wrote and animated
bloopers.
My favorite one is Thumper, because he like doesn't talk in the movie.
Yes.
The evil grasshopper, the one
Yes.
that's like the crazy one. He's like, I just can't work like this. He's like, okay.
Well, and that's really funny because so here's the deal: they have bloopers, right? But the bloopers are different lengths, different entire sets in the VHS
Oh,
version versus the DVD version.
really?
Yes. So I read an article
Oh,
that
I
said
wonder which
that
one.
Disney put out different bloopers so that in hopes that people would buy the updated one
Oh.
and to watch both.
Interesting.
That's
like
interesting.
I'm not buying.
Well,
the
I
whole
think
thing
it
over
said
again
for the
on DVD.
VHSs, like there was 5 different covers.
Yes.
Like one of like Dot, Flick, like the different characters too.
I don't know if you need 5 different VHSs, but life is
Collectors
is short, people.
do.
Sure.
Life is short.
Collectors like that kind of
A
stuff.
last thing that I thought was really cool. I'm trying to find my phone as we talk so that we can do this, but I read an article about how ants and I was going to say Finding Nemo. What is this movie called?
A Bug's Life?
A Bug's Life. That Ants and A Bug Life came out like a month apart.
Yes.
And how
Yes.
number one, how sucky that is. But the reason that is, did you guys read up
I
on
read
this?
this, yes.
Okay, so talk about it then, because I think that this is like all kinds of bad, but actually interesting.
It's wild, okay? This is nuts. During the production of this movie, right, so John Lasseter and, what's the other guy's name? Who was his name? I can't find his name. John Lasseter and the other co-director. They were coming up with ideas for this movie, but before this movie was being put into production, Jeffrey Katzenberg, who used to be the head of Disney Animation, he left Disney to go work for DreamWorks because he had a fight with Michael Eisner, right?
Like legitimately, there was a showdown.
Yes.
So said sources.
And so he left to go do DreamWorks, and then the Pixar guys started working on Toy Story, and while they were doing Toy Story, they had a lunch meeting where they developed the idea for this movie and like Finding Nemo and a bunch of other Pixar movies to come. And so as it got nearer to this movie coming out, A Bug's Life, it was announced that Ants was going to be coming out. And Ants has a very, very similar story to A Bug's Life. It's one ant who is like different from all the other ants and trying to win the love of the princess ant, and then
Sound familiar?
and then the ants are in trouble, and this ant has to save them all, right? So it's crazy familiar. So John Lasseter, he called Jeffrey Katzenberg and was like, dude, what is this? Did you steal this idea from us? He's like, no, I don't. I didn't do that at all. I don't know what you're talking about.
That wasn't me.
And John Lasseter, I read in this article that he never curses, but he cursed him out at this point. And he was like, "Did you,
Or did you
did
not?
you take this idea from us?" And Katzenberg, he kind of confessed that this movie had been pitched before the Ants, but Katzenberg had kind of orchestrated it around so that it would come out during the same exact year because he wanted DreamWorks to overtake Disney in terms of animation. So,
which would make sense. I mean, if you went from one to the other, you would want the one you're
Sure.
at to shine.
yes.
Unfortunately,
But also, Katzenberg was like super angry because A Bug's Life was originally scheduled to come out like right after The Prince of Egypt, and The Prince of Egypt was DreamWorks' like first animated movie that was going to come out. So they thought that, so Katzenberg thought that Disney was like attacking him personally because of this scheduling conflict. So they changed schedules and stuff like that, and then eventually got it down so that Ants and A Bug's Life came out at like the same exact time, so that the competition was equally set. Which is wild. It's a
That
wild
is some
story.
crazy stuff.
Yeah,
and it's funny because I mean, and I wonder if it's because I was living in a Disney household. It's so funny because some people just aren't. Not so much that they aren't Disney people, but they just don't have an affinity for one or
Sure.
the other. They just watch animated
watch
movies
everything.
with their kids or
Mhm.
whatever. But I definitely lived in a Disney household,
Right.
and until like I'm gonna say. Like, until I was old enough to make movie choices on my own, I didn't watch DreamWorks movies.
Mhm.
I mean, I watched Shrek when it came out, but even after that, like, DreamWorks was just never my first choice, and it was because of the household I grew up in.
Right.
But I still have never seen Ants.
Oh,
I've never seen it. It's on Netflix. Still haven't seen it. Like,
I like Ants a lot. Ants is like a Woody Allen movie. He
Oh,
plays
Lord.
the main character. Yeah, so that's a whole thing that I don't like anymore now. But
oh, Lord.
and it's much more adult than A Bug's Life is.
Okay.
It has a lot more adult jokes and stuff like that, and adult content. Like the ants are at war and they're fighting other bugs and like getting dismembered and stuff like that.
Oh, my.
It's kind of wild and crazy, but I enjoy it. And I was one of those households that watched everything. Basically,
Okay.
you know, I didn't differentiate too much between Disney and DreamWorks or any other animation
Franchise.
studio. Yeah, I totally watched Prince of Egypt and Ants and A Bug's Life all in the same year. Whatever.
See, the ones that I
Just
think
came
about
out.
it is
I
like
didn't see Prince of
didn't-
Egypt until last year, so there you go.
I've
Perfect
never
example.
seen Prince of Egypt. I've never seen
Y'all need
El
to see.
Dorado. I've never seen Ants.
Y'all need
Yes.
to see El
But the ones
Dorado.
that I think about that
Not that
came
that's a
out
Disney
like
movie, but
around
no.
the same time together was, I'm pretty sure, Finding Nemo and Shark Tales
Yep.
came around
Those
the
came
same
out around
time
the same
too.
time, I think.
Was that the Will Smith one?
Yep.
Yes,
Will Smith and Angelina Jolie as fish, and I think
right
Jack
when
Black,
Finding Nemo
I
came
think
out.
Jack Black was a shark. I think
Wasn't Robert De Niro on that too?
was he?
I don't know.
I don't know. Speaking of Robert De Niro, he was almost Hopper. Well, he wasn't almost Hopper. He denied the role of Hopper in this movie several times, according to John Lasseter. Like John Lasseter kept offering it to him,
Please.
and he was like,
Please.
"No,
Please.
no,
Please.
nah."
Nah.
Nah.
And then they gave it to Kevin Spacey.
Very interesting.
Eh.
Interesting.
Oh, talk about the money on this. Do
Oh,
you know the money? Because I have the money.
money.
Money, 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 money.
I thought this was really good.
Let's jump to it. Hang
Money.
on.
Money, 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 money.
Where is it? Oh, I thought I had it written down, and I guess I
Do you want me to tell you?
don't.
You do it, Emily.
Yes, tell me.
Okay, so this money was
This money.
this money was $210 million budgeted, and it grossed $363 million worldwide.
Hmm.
So it made a substantial
Yeah, especially
Right.
for the time.
150.
That's like super good.
That's interesting because you said it was 210 the budget.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading on Wikipedia and IMDb actually
Okay.
that the budget was 120 million.
Oh, well then maybe I'm just.
Well, then they made even more money then, right?
Yes.
Oh,
So they even made even
I don't
more
even
money.
know how to write. There you go.
I love it.
I don't know. This is according to this.
But I will
this website
say-
here.
And
That's
I
even
kind
better then.
of
Good
I
for
kind
them.
of touched on this in Toy Story. We had like a little bit of disagreeing opinions here that you guys thought the animation looked like pretty good in Toy Story, and I thought it looked blocky and like very early 3D that I didn't like it.
Sure.
And I could still kind of see that in this one. Like there were some times where I felt like they did not really pay attention to the animation, and then there was other times where I was like, that looked great. Like it was just kind of a mix. But I will say that the water in this movie looked great.
Mm-hmm.
Like we talked about the water a lot in Good Dinosaur, but the water actually looked like really good in this one too. Like that whole scene with the flash flood, I was like, oh, they did great on that part.
Yeah.
But
They
like
dropped
the
all the
intro
food in the
scene
water.
to me was like super blocky. I was like, yeah. Like there was just like it was kind of a toss up for me.
I think I disagree a little bit. I think like it does look a little bit blocky, but I think it still holds up really well. in terms of its.
Luis kept
its
saying actually, and I
animation.
know he said this a little bit earlier, but throughout the time when we were watching it, he kept saying that he didn't think that this was the second Pixar movie. He thought that this was like maybe 5 years ago,
like
maybe
much
5 or 6.
later.
I agree with Michelle though. I think the second half of the movie really is, and the attention to detail is animated more. You could just tell because pretty much any time that it went to darkness, so it was like when you were talking about the flash flood, when Hopper comes, when they're doing like the nighttime celebration, all those different places where they have the lights,
or even like the
off bird the fire
bird
and stuff. You can really see the attention they had to do with the lighting in the animation.
Right.
Do you mean like light sources and whatnot? They did a really interesting job with that. I also thought it was interesting how they animated the ants themselves.
Right.
Did you notice how like the different ants had different like complexions
So
almost?
they
Yeah.
had to do a lot of stuff to make ants look like ants, but also not like ants at all.
Yeah.
Like these ants, they don't have mandibles, right? They don't have 6 legs. They just have 2 arms and 2 legs.
don't really have hair.
Thank the Lord they don't have mandibles or hair or multiple arms.
And then they're all extremely smooth, so that that's easier to animate. And I also read that for their animation process, like I think they were working with technology that wasn't caught up to their ideas yet. That their computers were running super sluggishly throughout the entire animation process because of how much they were pushing them to make it look this good.
Interesting.
Well, and I think that's interesting too because, I mean, and this is one of the things that we notice differently with the movies that are coming out now. But
Well, yeah, Addie? Ma.
She's got
I
some
don't know if you can
opinions.
hear the ma coming through.
Yeah. You're on the podcast. Yeah, go ahead.
She's happy everywhere. But the ants up front would look really good, and then the ants in the background would all look
Yes.
very similar, very flat.
Yes.
That's
but
kind of what I was talking about, where you
Yes.
could tell different things. They just,
But I think that comes with the technology because if they don't have the ability to sit there and literally make like specifics out of each ant that's there like they do now, like when we talk about like Moana or something,
Right, or
where
Coco, which has like thousands
Hundreds
and
of skeletons.
thousands of like those buildings in the background
Yeah.
and stuff like that. For this movie,
the
for,
most visually stunning thing you've ever seen.
for all those background ants, like that took them a lot of work. They had to animate them in like groups where they had like 4 to 6 individual ants that could walk around on their own and be independent of one another, and then they just put like tens and tens and tens of those groups all around the background so that it looked like they were all moving at the same time, but didn't look like they were all moving exactly the same way.
But that's so hard too to try to make that look independent enough where you can't look like every 6th ant down is doing the same exact thing.
Yeah.
That must be like a really fun but also a very tedious job.
Oh, I'm sure. That's why I say all the time I have so much respect for animators. I could never do that. That's just not how my brain works.
Nope, that's not how Emily's patience works.
Oh, yeah. I am not patient enough for any of that.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. This is such a good movie.
Go ahead.
We did. This is just so random. But did you guys notice, like, in the PT circus? I should have said he was my favorite character, but the like Jamaican spider was my favorite.
Jamaican spider.
The spider in the background, he's like, he's always like playing the drums and the music for the circus. He looks like a Jamaican spider.
Yes.
He's my favorite. I love
Well,
him.
we didn't
Jamaican spider.
even talk about the flies in the audience.
Oh my
That's
god!
right,
But
the
there's
dumb
all
flies.
these humorous moments that totally make this movie go so good.
They're like talking to Francis, and they're like, "Hey, Ladybug, want to come over here and pollinate with a real I don't even know what he says.
Something like that, yeah.
It's so crazy though because then they go and they fight them, and they come back with their big old fly friend.
Big fly buddy. I've only got 24 hours to live. I'm not gonna spend it doing this.
I can't. And they're sitting in Reese's peanut butter cup wrappers.
Yes. Oh, we forgot about the absolute funniest scene in the movie where
What's the funniest scene?
The funniest scene is during Flick walking over to the circus. He sees the mosquitoes flying into the bug zappers. Like, no, don't do it. I can't help it.
Oh,
It's so beautiful.
That was actually
A cameo from the directors, right?
Yes, this was.
So funny.
I enjoyed all of the little hidden things too, and of course, as a kid, you're not going to get it. But like when they walk into the fly bar or whatever the bar,
Yeah.
which is really a can of lard, FYI, which is hilarious. They walk in and the mosquito asks for a Bloody Mary O positive, and he literally gets like a drop of blood and he sucks it up.
He's like, oh, yeah.
And we'll talk about the rest of that on the Crack in the Vault because it's hilarious.
Yes.
Yes, that scene is great. And I was going to say, too, we were talking about how the city in Coco looks so amazing, but, like, the Bug City looks pretty cool, too. Just saying.
Well, and that's why you can see where they put the Bugs Land
Yeah.
California Adventure because
it's amazing.
it is so I bet you, because I'm even going to say it would be so cool to walk through that city.
Right.
And
yeah.
that's why they made
That's why they did it.
That's why they did
Yeah, and I almost, like, needed to watch the movie again because we'll kind of all agree on this. Like, Bugs Land is not the most popular area in the Disneyland Resort. Like, it's just not. It's pretty kiddish. But now that I've seen the movie again, I'm like, oh, but I kind of like it.
But here's the deal. We have to back it up. Disneyland proper is really kiddish.
Yeah,
and we
it
like
is.
it because we grew up with it.
Yeah.
And when people, and again, we don't want to get into the specifics, but people are really upset that a
Are
Bugs
they?
Land is going
Yeah.
because
Oh, yes, they are, because we had somebody tag us and DM us saying to sign their petition to save
that's
Bugs
separate.
Land.
That's
Didn't we?
completely a different
No,
thing.
we're not talking about the same thing.
No.
Just kidding.
That's to get Flick to stay in Animal Kingdom.
Just kidding.
That's a completely
Right,
different thing.
in Florida.
But in Bugs Land, people are really upset because their kids have grown up with it. And you know what? It was funny because I never
true.
thought that it was as cool as it was as when we took Addie.
It
Because
was
then I
the
was
most
like,
fun.
Oh my God. Watching her on the freaking Francis Ladybugs.
Oh,
the
it's so
boogie,
good.
Literally, you guys, this is a 7-month-old child, like getting swung around into Andre's leg, like literally almost hitting her head, and she's just smiling
She was
like
having
it's the
so much
best
fun.
thing. And I
She
think to
loved
myself,
it.
like if she had grown up with that, I probably would have been upset too. But because I didn't personally grow up with it, that's why I don't connect with it.
Right.
And none of us had kids to get excited with.
We were
True.
all a little bit older by the time California Adventure actually came around, so you know.
And we were teenagers once that part was even like we were past
constructed,
the excitement zone. I think.
of those kiddie rides.
Yeah.
You know.
I will say that I will miss the 3D show. It's tough to be a bug. I love that.
Well, and did you notice that when they first enter the ant tunnels, it's exactly what it looks like in
In the movie.
theater.
Yeah.
It is so cool. And I even looked at Luis and I'm like, oh my gosh, isn't that cool? And he goes, I'm actually going to miss that, but I'm not going to get missed. What did you say? I'm not going to miss getting poked.
No,
Oh,
You know how
yeah.
you get poked?
yes.
Yeah, you get poked in the back so hard.
He doesn't
Yikes.
like getting poked.
I don't like getting poked either, but that's a fun ride.
Yes.
Are we ready for our
Yeah,
the
let-
ratings?
Let's
Yes.
talk a little bit about its reception. So this movie has a
what do you give it, Addie?
she
Nubbins.
gives it
Oh, she is so
She's
happy.
beating it up, you guys.
Yeah.
She's going to be on the podcast one day
5
for sure.
mic hits out of 5.
5 out of 5, my kids.
This movie has a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Pretty good.
Which is pretty good.
That's not pretty good. That's really
it's
good.
extremely good. It's kind of interesting
We
because
give 70s pretty good.
Yeah.
the audience score is 72%. So it was much more critically acclaimed than even just
Which
people-
when does that happen?
Yeah.
Do you think it's because
That
it's
really
about
rare.
bugs? Just like bugs in general. Like if I see
people don't like
this
bugs?
is what happened to me with Marvel. Ant-Man started having a bunch of things for Ant-Man, and I was like, I don't want to see Ant-Man. It's about a bug. Like maybe that's why.
People don't like bugs.
People don't
Yeah.
like bugs.
I mean, I don't like rats, but I ended up liking Ratatouille.
True.
Mm.
No offense to Ratler.
What do you
Creeped
What
out
are you
by
gonna
those-
give this
those
movie,
rats.
Andre?
That's a good question. I didn't even think about this. What is my rate? I think I'm gonna give this movie like a 9. It's really good. It's solid. It's hilarious the entire way through. I like the plot. I love the way that they defeat the grasshoppers at the end with the bird and the circus performers coming back. It's a really good twist and turn
And it's different than I think people usually expect. Like it's
Yes.
a different type of beating
right. Yeah.
the enemy. That's cool.
Mhm. Tricking them. It's good stuff.
Super good.
9.
I'm gonna give this movie a 9.5. I love this movie. It was so funny because we were talking about the music earlier, and then all of a sudden, like the whole time we've been recording, I've had the little song stuck in my head from the party, like when they're throwing the party, and they're like playing. I don't know. They're playing like a plant, but it's like do 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 do. It's been stuck in my head. She's making fun of us.
I wish you guys could see the dance they were doing with it.
Yes,
but with
movie,
the shoulders and the head.
This is a great movie. Like, there's really not anything super bad I can say about it. I love it. I grew up watching it a lot. 9.5. What about you, Luis?
I will give it a 8.5.
8.5.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good.
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
His ratings are always the best because he just says the number, no reasoning. Yep.
I'm gonna also give it an 8.5. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. There you go. I'm gonna be Luis today.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, so that's what we thought of A Bug's Life next week. Michelle just sneezed. Bless you. Next.
It was funny because of the face you made. I've seen you. I don't think I've ever really watched you sneeze before. That was.
It's a sight to behold, truly. Yeah.
My gosh, you have a funny sneeze. That was very cute.
You got a funny sneeze face.
I've known you for a long time, and that was.
What happened is we went to Monterey yesterday, and I don't have allergies by the ocean, so then when I come back, it's like,
Allergy
what
town.
happened?
We live in Allergy Town. Next week,
Yeah, we do.
we are watching a movie suggested by some listeners. We are going to watch 2015's live-action Tomorrowland.
Ooh.
Starring
Why did I
George
make
Clooney.
that sound? This isn't a scary movie. I was like, ooh.
That's the sound of excitement.
Ooh.
Yes.
I have never seen this movie.
I have never seen this movie either.
Emily has. Luis has.
Once, yes.
Once.
All right. Cool.
And we will leave our
Opinions for next time.
in the wall.
Yes. I'm excited. Thanks
So,
for your suggestions. We really want you guys to keep sending in suggestions because it's fun and all when we pick the movies, but we also like when we get suggestions because then maybe it's something like this where some of us haven't seen it and we didn't even think of it and now we're going to watch it.
That's right.
Well, and you're more invested in the episode if you
Yeah.
care about the movie.
Yeah.
Or maybe if you're like, don't care about the movie and you're like, I just want to
Yes.
agree with all your.
And thanks for
Thanks.
voting for Bug's Life because I really wanted that one to win. I was very happy.
Oh,
it
yeah.
did.
This was a part of our fan vote. Yeah.
Yes.
Our Pixar fan vote.
Yes, it was.
Right.
And I was very happy Bug's Life got picked.
Bugs Life won
And it was
out.
funny because it like won one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
And that's,
destroyed.
it's so funny because that's happened on a lot of our fan votes. Like we picked 3 that we're excited about and one totally dominates.
Yeah.
Which is so interesting because
Sword in the
sometimes
Stone.
it's not the one I think is going to win, like
Truth.
Sword in the Stone.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
Truth.
oh, okay.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I'm excited for this
Yes.
Tomorrowland. Woo-woo.
I'm excited as well. So, you guys, if you want to leave us suggestions, you can head over to any of our social media. We are at the Walt Vault Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Send us a DM, ask us some questions, do all of the good stuff. You can also send us an email, which I personally would love, to contact@thewaltvaultpod.com, and we may just read your message on the show like we did with Hans earlier in this episode. If you want to support the Walt Vault, there are a couple ways you can do that. You can head over to patreon.com/thewaltvault, and for as little as $1 per month, you can get access to our after show, A Crack in the Vault, and that really helps us keep the lights on over here. You can also go to thewaltvaultpod.com and go to our Shop on Amazon page, and if you buy something from Amazon by clicking on that link, it'll give us a small piece of your purchase at no additional cost to you, so that's very helpful as well. Any way you want to help us out is great. You can also help us out by going to iTunes and leaving a review for the Walt Vault. A 5-star rating would be good. That helps spread the word and put our name out there on iTunes to let more people find us. But we're also available to listen to on YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play, everywhere that podcasts are found. You can find us. So please subscribe and tell your friends. Tell your mom about the Walt Vault. That'd be great. You guys, that's it for now. We will see you next week for Tomorrowland, The Vault.